Let's start with history. Jesus' teachings and actions had become deeply threatening to the religious and political authorities in Jerusalem. He challenged the authority of the Jewish religious leaders, the Pharisees and Sadducees. He publicly criticized the temple system and the way that it was being used to control people. And he attracted huge crowds, especially during Passover, a time when tensions were already high because of the Roman occupation. When Jesus entered Jerusalem, what we call the triumphal entry, he was welcomed as a king, which alarmed both the Romans and the Jewish leaders. The cleansing of the temple, the area where the religious leaders made their money, was particularly explosive. The Sanhedrin, the Jewish ruling council, had already been looking for a way to arrest Jesus quietly. Mark chapter 14, verses 1 and 2, they feared the crowds. Judas just gave them the opportunity they were looking for. So the answer to the question, would Jesus be killed if Judas had not betrayed him, is a definite maybe. Most likely he would have been arrested and killed because he was a threat to the religious and political order. The leaders wanted to maintain the status quo. Jesus was an itinerant preacher who was challenging their authority and the ideas that they had been holding on to for a long time. The growing crowd that followed him was becoming a problem. They wanted to stop him. They were looking for an opportunity to arrest him without the people knowing about it. Judas gave them that opportunity. But even without Judas, the religious leaders probably would have found a way to get rid of Jesus because he was a threat to the order, to the way things were. Now, from a Christian theological perspective, Jesus' death was part of God's redemptive plan. The betrayal was one means to that end, but not the only possible one. God's purposes could have been fulfilled through other events or actors. Jesus himself often predicted his suffering and death, knowing that it was inevitable. Mark chapter 8, verse 31, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me." Jesus is saying here that the way of the disciple is the way of the cross. It was not an if, but a when. So would Jesus have been killed if Judas had not betrayed him? Probably, yes. Judas's betrayal was the spark that ignited the situation, but it was not the only possible path to the crucifixion. In part 2, we'll explore whether or not Judas was actually necessary for Jesus to die on the cross. See you then.